Déjame saber y te paso a recoger. Nos podemos escapar y desaparecer.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Jose back at it again with one of my first episodes of this new podcast that I'm doing. Pleasure to be here with my boy Deandre. Say what's up, bro?
Yeah, what's going on, everybody?
Yeah, what's up? All right, so for this first episode, we'll be interviewing my friend here, and we'll be asking him some questions about uh his studies in college and what he plans to do with his future, any plans that he has, any just things that evolve his career and what will make him become a better person in that career and what he can do to improve himself and stuff like that. So I have my notes here and I will be asking you the first question, and it is, um, when did you know you wanted to be in that specific career?
Um, I would say probably my junior year of high school. I took an interest because I'm a politics major. So I took an interest after the 2016 election. Just trying to, become more acquainted with, like you're always taught, or you hear people say like, oh yeah, vote for this person, don't vote for this person, but you never really understand why, right? And so I kind of took it upon myself to try to understand, why things they are the way they are, why people vote the way they do. Um, so after that, it took me a little bit to realize that I actually had a passion for it, but I would say that that was around when I started gaining interest in it.
All right, perfect. And so when you knew you wanted to be in that specific region of work in terms of politics, um, what was going through your mind at the time when you found out about when Black Lives Matter reached this outrage and everyone was fighting for more equality and more based off not only saying only Black Lives Matter, but
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter as well. Um,
Yeah.
how did you feel about that specific race being attacked because
Um,
that whole thing?
yeah. I have mixed emotions on it, right? So I'm Puerto Rican and Black, so I'm mixed. Um, I have a lot of friends that are Black, obviously, friends that are Hispanic. We have movements like even Stop Asian Hate, right? There's the Me Too movement. So there's just all stuff that's been building up. But I would say for me personally, like I think the initial reaction was outrage, right? Especially because you see somebody like George Floyd, right? And it's just what happened to him was so inhumane and cruel that you think to yourself, like, how could this even happen, right? Like this is disgusting. And then you realize the pattern of behaviors that have led up to that. And it's just it's sad, but at the same time, I think that as things have gone on, right, and you build more awareness around the topic, people become more, I want to say, like empathetic, right? So for example, like somebody that might not have realized like, oh yeah, like I'm white, I have a friend that's Black, like my life is different from his, but like I probably won't be able to understand that, right? You start to build this level of like understanding that might not understand, and I'm saying that like from the viewpoint of a white person. So I think that that's the beauty that came out of it. um I think unfortunately for every movement that we face, right, there's a counter movement. So like Black Lives Matter, right? Out of that came Blue Lives Matter. Well, like I'm gonna be honest with you, for someone like me, I think that Black Lives and Blue Lives Matter, right? But at the same time, a blue life isn't a thing, right? Like,
Exactly.
and
Yep.
I think that's where my deterrence on this topic is that like I respect my grandma she was chief probation officer, right? A lot of friends that were involved in the court system, police officers, firefighters, right? I have the utmost respect for them, right? And at the same time, like I have family members that are in jail, for reasons that unfortunately historically didn't really play into our favor. but for reasons beyond our control, right? So I guess what I mean to say, I say that to say this, right? Like, I appreciate all people from all backgrounds, right? Like, I believe that police officers play an instrumental role in this world, and obviously as a person of color, I believe that, we play an instrumental role in this world. I think the one thing that I don't really love about BLM is that I just feel like I think it's a movement that, as I mentioned earlier, is used for more so spreading awareness, but it's not really to the benefits of someone like me or you, right? Right, like minorities. Like, we don't get to wake up and choose how we look, right? Like, we automatically by default support Black lives, right? Like, I'm not gonna be a Black person that says Black lives don't matter.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not my place to decide, the viewpoints of the world, the opinions of the world, when obviously I believe that Black lives matter, right? But I tell you that as a Black person, I choose to believe that police officers and firefighters, people like them, I believe that they're extremely important, right? So I think on the opposite end, like in the Black Lives Matter movement, I think it's more of a movement for people who don't understand the things that people like us go through. It's more for them to get acquainted with the situation and have a better understanding of what we deal with every day.
Perfect. I like that. And I think we can both agree that the racial bias in terms of we have the white supremacists, we have the lefties, the righties, all of this. To my understanding, I believe that if we are going to divide ourselves that much to the point where we only believe like, so I've heard so many white people say this, and I'm not even trying to be racist. This is just things that obviously you hear and you're like astonished by it. Um, I've heard a lot of white people say, "If it ain't white, it ain't right," and to me, that inflames me because it's like, if you look at our past history, um, leading up to, like, for example, I'm going to use the Puerto Rican heritage. Um, they were the first people in the island, the Tainos, the Indian Tainos. They were all used as slaves um, to conquer that island and build it up from what it is now. Um, African Americans, you have thousands of generations of slaves that families come from a family of the family of slaves that they were born from, and they have that knowledge and that uh charisma to understand that I came from this family. I know what it is to not be supported because we're black. I know what it is to uh, bust every day and work hard every day because I couldn't have what these people had and all this and that. So I think that if we're gonna be divided in that way, in the racial way, it has to stop, bro. I mean, we work together. This place has been built upon ourselves, upon every single race in the world, whether you're Asian, black, whether you're um white, any race in the world. We all build from the ground up with what it is to be called the United States.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you. It's just a matter of time before anybody realizes that this shit has got to stop. Every lives matter. Obviously, they all matter, but the movement right now is still stop Asian hate. It's still Black Lives Matter. It's still, just encouraging people to understand that race doesn't play into every single situation. It's not like, oh, you're not good at basketball, so like what are you useful for? You know what I mean? Like, not every black person there's those stereotypes, you know what I mean? Those
Yeah,
stereotypes.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I 100% agree with you. It's very I'm glad to hear that we both feel the same way about certain situations about race and equity and all that. My next question for you is, so from my understanding, you want to be the mayor of Fitchburg, Massachusetts.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it definitely crosses my mind a lot. Definitely.
Okay. Um, so you know all the issues that this city has.
Mhm.
The of money spent on worthless things such as a $3 million city hall,
Yeah.
um, uh, refinancing some of the uh, different buildings that city hall needs in order to proceed with everything. Um, do you believe that the mayor right now is doing a good job?
That's a that's a loaded question. I actually, it's funny you asked that because I had the opportunity this summer. I was a senior intern for our state senator, and so I had a lot of interactions with the mayor this summer. Whether it be at events and meetings, conferences. I have mixed emotions because let me tell you why. Because Fitchburg, right? We love Fitchburg. It's where we're from, right? There's a lot of great things about Fitchburg, but I think everybody can understand whether you're from Fitchburg or not, that Fitchburg definitely needs some work, right? And so I think it's easy for somebody to come out and say, "Oh yeah, I could do a way better job than this dude. Fitchburg's a shit or whatever, right?" But
Mhm.
you think about it, it's like, can you really do a better job, right? And so that's where I feel like me, as a college student, I'm obviously still learning, and I have some experience, but not to the level of, the mayor he was a state rep, right? He served in the military, right? He's very experienced. He's been the mayor for, I want to say, probably like, what is it? Probably like going on 7 or 8 years now. So
Mhm.
he has his experience, right? Where I say that where I digress from thinking that he's doing a spectacular job is, like, it has to do more with an emotional attachment to the city than anything tangible, right? So like, I think the 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 problem I have, right, is, and this is things that people that aren't from Fitchburg aren't going to understand, right? But we have things like the Common Grounds tournament, right?
Yep.
The Greek festival. We have, a bunch of different events that great people from the community are doing to try to unite the city, to try to get young people enthusiastic about, where they're from. And, I noticed, like, how many times have you ever seen the mayor or any local politician at that go to Green Street, go to Elm Street, right?
Never, never.
Imagine, right? Right.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I I did not agree with them building a new city hall because I believe that if you even went to Green Street for 5 minutes, you went to Elm Street for 5 minutes, you would realize that there are so many other issues plaguing the city than a new city hall. And those are taxpayers' money. And I can take this a few steps further, and I'm going to, since we're here, right? I feel like, Fitchburg is a city that Fitchburg High School is over 50% minority, right? Over 50% minority. The makeup of the city is somewhere between 35% Hispanic, right? And then you got another extra like 5 to 10% Black, right? That is a lot of diversity for a town in central Massachusetts. That is an extremely large amount. I'm in California right now, which is probably Southern California, which is one of the most diverse areas in the country. And even here, like, there's a lot of diversity, but that's what it's known for. Fitchburg's not known for its diversity, right? Fitchburg is known for, like being, for being like Leominster's little brother, right? Like the, like the city that, our teen pregnancy rates are high, our literacy rates are low, right? Our English fluency rates are low. So it's like I have issues with the way things going on in Fitchburg because we're building a city hall for people to work in it, and I believe there's only one elected official right now serving that's not white. Excuse me. Yeah, that's not white.
Yep.
I believe his name is Derek Cruz. Um, and congratulations to him for winning his election, because it's a big deal. But I just think it's tough because even if you go down to City Hall, right, and you look across the street, they're trying to rebuild the theater, but that theater has been dead for so long, and I just feel like I don't understand as politicians, you wake up every day and the first thing you see when you look out across the street is an abandoned building. The closer you get to City Hall, the more abandoned things are, right? And it's like, man, this is in the middle of the city. Imagine when you go to the hood, right? You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, that's not even where people don't even, they wouldn't even bother to go there. And so I feel like a lot of times, and the mayor specifically, I just feel like he's trying to appeal to people that he knows is going to vote for him, and the disconnect between the city and the people in the city that actually inhabit it and the mayors, right, is that people like us, they don't vote at a very high rate just because they just feel like, yo, no matter who we vote for, they don't really care about how we live in. You feel me? Like Fitchburg State gets nicer every year, and the crime rate around it on Blossom Street, on Myrtle Ave, the crime rate goes up.
Yep.
How does that work? That's gentrification. You feel me?
100%.
And it's happening right before us. And I just think that there's a lot of issues that go beyond what a politician can do serving in office, right? As a career politician, there's things that go beyond that they can care about as people, right? If you were the mayor of a city and you only cater into 20-30% of the population, I don't really agree with that. You didn't take an oath to serve 20% of the population. Feel me?
Correct.
And I just think it's tough. I think we need to invest, and we need to invest in our community. We don't need to invest in freaking a new city hall because we're not enjoying the amenities of a new city hall. You feel me? Like there's kids that go to McKay, that go to Longview, that go to FHS that don't got food to eat at night. And that's stuff that you try to brush it under the rug, but that's what keeps Fitchburg at the bottom. And so, like I said, the city definitely needs work, but on the opposite end, it also needs a helping hand, right? Somebody that's actually going to care about Fitchburg for what it is. You can't take on the job in Fitchburg and treat it like it's Leominster, treat it like it's Lunenburg, treat it like it's Westminster. Every single town and city is different. And as a leader, I feel like it honestly starts at the top, right? Like the fact that we only have one elected official that isn't white is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, because we got over 40,000 people. So you say 40 to 50% of the population is minority. That's around 15 to 20,000 people that just aren't being represented at all.
Yeah.
At all. So now riddle me this: how is somebody who is white, speaks no Spanish, grew up middle class, 2-parent family, how are they supposed to relate to those kids that, their parents sell drugs, their mom or their dad is in and out of jail, maybe they don't even have parents, maybe they can't speak English. It's a problem. And that's a problem. I even interact, like I encountered it in the senator's offices. We were trying to promote awareness for the coronavirus vaccine, right? And the two major things that I was telling them, or three actually, is one, the people that need the vaccine, the majority of them don't have transportation to get to where the vaccines are. You feel me? That's one, right? That's a low income issue. That's an income issue that plagues Fitchburg, right?
That's the poverty issue we have right now.
That plagues Fitchburg, right?
Yeah.
And then we don't have any flyers that are in Spanish. Every one of them is in English.
Yeah.
Right?
Except for the YMCA, yo. Them flyers be hitting.
Yeah, they do. And you know why? Because they have Hispanic people working there.
Yep.
That's why. And there's that level of trust. And then the last issue is, the nurses and the people administering the shots, they don't speak Spanish. Right? So there's enough skepticism surrounding the issue that you would think that the first thing you would do is try to reduce it, right? Make people feel more comfortable. And it's just stuff that it's not intentional, but it's just stuff that a lot of people that are serving in office or that have a very large role in how Fitchburg is running, they don't understand it because they can't relate to it. And that's why I feel like Fitchburg is it's in a bad spot right now, because there's definitely great people that, like, the senator I serve for, he's a great guy. His office is great. And the mayor, he's a good guy, right? But as far as a politician, bro, it's like
Better.
it's just yeah, he can't relate. Can't
Mhm.
relate. He's an older guy, upbringing different. He's very religious. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's just that how's he supposed to relate to you and me? you know?
100%, brother. 100%. And that's another thing that I wanted to ask you about was aside from relating to um people in poverty that don't speak English that go on agencies, job agencies.
Yeah.
Yo, the major issue that job agencies have is when a Hispanic person goes in or a black person that doesn't speak English goes in and says, I need a job and I need it now. What the agency will do is they won't so that you know how the agencies take suggestions of what have you done in the past that you have a lot of skill in.
Yeah.
So you give them that, and then the agency will say, okay, well, you're gonna go work at a package facility like FedEx or UPS or USPS or anything like that because you know how to move around and stuff like that. What if that person didn't want that just because they had experience in the past?
I agree.
You
I
know,
I agree, yeah.
language barrier that job agencies should have is at least one person that will be able to speak multiple languages. You do not have to be fluent. It's just you have to understand that person. And it doesn't matter if you're trilingual, like quadlingual, however many languages you speak, bro. It's just a matter of understanding that specific person that needs money, that needs to feed their kids, that needs to pay rent, that needs to, you know how it is
Mhm.
already.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like in terms of Fitchburg, when you go to a job agency and there's a job in Fitchburg, I'm gonna say like 85% of the time, a job that you're gonna work at in Fitchburg is gonna be Hispanic people and black people working there because of it's a job that's as closest to their house, one, and two, if say you were to be living in Leominster where it's a lot bigger, you have a lot more choices to work at. In
Mhm.
Leominster is a different story. You go to any job like Applebee's. You work if you want to be a waitress at Applebee's. If you want to be work at Longhorn as a chef. You want to work at Target. Wherever they most likely will only be one Spanish person or one black person working at each of those jobs.
Mhm.
You get what I'm trying to say here? Like there
Yeah.
should be more. It's not. I'm not saying they're targeting whites only to work there, but you know what I'm saying. Like I'm using Target as an example. When I go to
That's the
Target
thing.
in Leominster, it's like every time I go in, I only see white people working there. There was one instance where I saw a Hispanic lady working there, but she was doing like something off the side, like doing packages or whatever, or putting up restocking the shelves and whatnot. And that was that one time that I saw her. Never saw her again. Even Starbucks, places like that, I feel like they should take into account that just because that person may not speak English that well, just because that person may not focus on or may not learn as quickly as other people,
Yeah.
race shouldn't be a thing that should be involved in whether you want to hire someone or not.
I
Oh,
think that it's a
you know,
I on it I agree. I also think that on a multitude of levels, it's just this that's also an issue that has to do with where we live, right? Like
yeah.
Fitchburg don't really have much. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So like Leominster got that little block next to the hospital where it's Applebee's, Longhorn. What's the other one?
Five Below.
Yeah, they got the Five Below over there, but they got there's like a McDonald's across the street, right?
Yeah.
Right, like
Yes. Yeah.
so more, more restaurants. That means more jobs, more opportunities, right? So automatically, I feel like one, there's just more there, right? So naturally, you're gonna be like, oh wow, if I want a job, I can go get one. Two, right? Because people in Fitchburg got to travel to Leominster. If you don't have transportation, right?
Mm-hmm.
then that's not good, because then you're lacking in that department. If they need you 5 days a week and you can only get there 2.5 days out the week,
Yep.
they're not going to hire you. And then 3, it's just tough because, you know, there's not many places that are willing to take a chance on somebody that doesn't have, you know, that doesn't meet their qualifications, even if it is something as simple as, you know, like bussing tables or something like that.
Yeah.
And I never really agreed with that. You know, I honestly used to look at it as like take like Extapa, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Extapa has a bunch of people working there, and it's been so successful, and everyone does their part. And the reason I like it is because they show up to work. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So while we have, you know, like, and it's run by Mexicans. So while we have people that are out here hating on Mexicans, saying, "Oh yeah, like I wonder if they even like belong in the country," or, you know, right? Like they probably just a bunch of bullshit, right? Like just racist stuff about saying about like immigration, Mexican people, Central American people. I think it's disgusting because, bro, like when COVID hit, they was still working, right? Before COVID, they was working. After COVID, they're still working, right? So while people's restaurants are closing and other businesses are closing because they can't find work, then people were still working. And you got to respect that, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I just believe that if somebody is willing to go get it, if they're going to do their part, right? Work is not supposed to be, it's not supposed to be fun. I'm sorry. It's not. Like, I guarantee you, if you ask anybody that fries, you know, that fries chicken at like McDonald's or something, it's not fun. It's not.
I
But
get
it puts money in your pocket. Yeah, it puts money in your pocket. You feel me? You doing it because you have to. You're not doing it because you want to. I had this conversation with my mom the other day. I said, anybody that's rich, they might like what they're doing now, but unless that money was, me, you have to do things that aren't fun to get to where you want to be.
exactly.
And I believe that, like, for these restaurants, right, whether they believe that they're better off hiring certain people that might meet certain qualifications, just because you meet certain qualifications in terms of like your language proficiency, or maybe you have a couple years of experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't change the fact that there's also somebody that doesn't meet those requirements that is willing to do that job twice as good as you are, if you're not going to put in the work. And that's where I feel like it's unfair to a lot of people, because we can sit here and talk about, oh yeah, they meet the requirements, we're going to hire them, but it's like the job that they're doing, you can train somebody else to do that if you just take the chance, right? And so when you see restaurants that are like Leominster's diverse too. You see restaurants in Leominster that are only like have 1 or 2 people of color working. Like, I think that's a problem.
El
Definitely.
El Camino restaurant, perfect
Yes.
example there.
Good food, and the people that run it, I know that's a family business, so I don't really want to get too into that, because I know, you know, keep it in the family, whatever. But I definitely see what you're saying, because there's restaurants think they can do the job better. They make us look better. They might look more professional. They might sound professional. Like, bro, that shit don't matter.
No,
it really doesn't matter. This is not corporate. You feel me? It's not corporate. It's not corporate. And those same people that aren't willing to take the chance on the Hispanic person, the Black person that's looking for a job because maybe they don't meet the criteria that they're searching for, those are the same people that are going to complain, oh yeah, those people, they're lazy, right? They leech off the government. So it's like,
bro.
you know, like it's just, it's such a blurred line. But I just feel like at the end of the day, like the way you look, that shit shouldn't impact your ability to work, especially if you're willing to work, right? If you're willing to do a job for somebody should be grateful, because there's plenty of places that have gone out of business because they didn't have people that wanted to work for them.
Yo, and especially right now with the so the union right now in Central Mass in general, brother. Yo, they're looking for people who are don't even have to be experienced, my guy. You can, if you know the basics of drilling a nail into wood, if you know the basics of laying a block down with cement, anything like that, you can get a job easily. But the thing is,
Mhm.
everyone is so lazy, especially around this time in the winter. And I yo, like I'm Puerto Rican, my man. Like, even my heritage, they don't even want to work, and it's
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where you can't even change a person's perspective on whether they want to work or not, because the job that they got, they didn't end up liking, so they end up just, going with the flow, stop working, stop showing up, calling out every day, and this and that. And I just think that if we could literally just um figure something out in a way that we can all understand and get along, in the sense of, okay, this person doesn't like his job. What can I do to help him like the job, and or learn to tolerate the job, for that matter? You know what I mean? And I'm speaking about any race, bro. You don't have to be Puerto Rican, and
absolutely,
you know.
absolutely,
So
absolutely. I agree. I agree. The biggest problem that I've had in the past year or two since the pandemic hit is there's just no incentive for people to go to work,
yep.
and you can't get mad at people for that. Honestly, like
Mm.
you can sit here and call people lazy, but if you're making more money to do absolutely nothing and collect unemployment than you are going to work, why would you go to work? And people,
I get you, brother.
people don't want to hear people don't want to hear that are working people, but they understand it because guess what? If they weren't paid that well, they would do the same thing. They would do the same thing. We got to incentivize going to work. You feel me?
It's the
You
American
have
dream
to.
too, my brother. You know.
You have to, bro. My both my parents wake up every day and they bust their ass. They bust their ass. My stepmom and stepdad, they wake up every day, they bust their ass. You feel me? But it's on the opposite end of that, right? If you're gonna make the same amount of money as other people that are busting their ass by doing nothing, why would you do it? There's
Uh,
no incentive. And then I also feel like going back to your point on right, like getting people to like their job. I'll tell you right now, I've been looking at some internships in corporate, right? Consulting, um, being like a data analyst, stuff like that, right? Um, and one thing about that stuff, even like investment banking,
mhm.
people that go into that stuff, nobody goes into the job knowing 100% of what they're going to do, right?
Mhm.
If they did, they would have been had the job. They'd already be the boss. And there's still people that are the boss at places like that are making millions of dollars a year that are figuring things out as they go.
Exactly. They're still
So,
learning.
so I say that to say this, right? We get into these situations where people don't want to hire us because they'd rather just get somebody that's already ready to work. But even at the highest levels, man, like even at the highest levels, they just want people based off of their character, based off of, how well they can work, how well they can do their job. And I just feel like that's not, I mean, that's not obviously like you have to have some prior experience, you have to have some stuff, but to say that you need to have prior experience at a job that's going to pay you six figures every year, and to say that you need to have prior experience at, say, Applebee's in the 99, that's a big difference. You feel me? That's a big difference.
Yo, that's facts, bro. Like,
That's a big difference. Like, yo, if this corporate firm is willing to take me on and teach me how to do my job, that is going to not only put over a roof over my head, but also put food on my table, provide me with transportation, healthcare benefits, take care of my family, right? If they're willing to help me and they're going to do all that for me and all they want is me to just listen and be a good worker, then why the hell can't like why the hell can't I get a job at McDonald's? Why the hell can't I get a job at Applebee's that they don't come with all those benefits, right? They don't come with that salary.
yep. Correct.
Guys.
Correct. Now I want to go back to your what did you say you were studying again?
I study politics.
Politics. So you were speaking about a that I heard you say, you were speaking about possibly going into the roads of being a political analyst.
That's just for right now for my undergrad, just to get experience. Trying to dip my feet in wherever I can to try to diversify my background.
Okay. Because I have this question to you. It I don't know if you can answer this, but
Yeah.
describe a time where you had to like present information to a stakeholder. Um, how did you like? How did you put it in a sense of a way that they would understand the content of your presentation? Like, how did you go about explaining to them
Yeah.
what you wanted to get across, like the point that you were trying to get across? How did you do it?
It's funny you asked this. I took a data research methods class last semester, and it was grad level, and I was taking it with kids that were like 2, 3 years older than me. And when I first got into it, I was like, yo, I don't know what I'm doing. But as the year went on, I started to gain some more knowledge, more experience on the topic. And my final project was on, hold on. One second.
Uh,
My fault, but can you see me? You can see me?
yeah, yeah.
You can see me? All right, cool. So, yeah, so my project, I decided that I was gonna start, I was gonna propose a hypothesis on whether people of color vote for candidates of color at a higher rate than they do white candidates. Um,
Wow.
so, so one thing about politics, man, women lie, men lie, numbers don't, right? So we all have political opinions, no matter the situation. And a lot of people, they might feel like the reason that you have those opinions is because of a certain bias. And a lot of times that's true, right? But if I propose a hypothesis and I prove that to be true through statistics, then it's like, oh, okay, right? So it's easy for me to say that it's easy for me to say, oh yeah, more black people voted for Obama than they did for Joe Biden. Um, and there's a lot of things that play into that. Um, Obviously, the first thing is the color of his skin, right? He's black.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, the country was in two different places, right?
Yeah.
One was before Trump, one was after Trump. I feel like one candidate people voted for because they wanted him. The other one, they felt like they voted for him because they had no choice. You feel
Yeah.
me? You feel me?
Yeah.
So like that's things that people might say, right? But if I prove to you that, say, and this is how I went about it, I said more people percentage wise voted for Obama than they did Biden, right? But this year, when we had elections, there was a few black senators that ran, right? They ran for office the same year as Biden. And
Yeah.
basically, long story short, what I did was I showed them that this black candidate, he was able to win in the same election more percent of the black vote than Joe Biden did in that state, right? So let's say there's a senator in Georgia, his name's Raphael Warnock. He was a reverend at MLK's church. He won his election. The biggest reason for that was he got a bunch, like, damn near every black person in Georgia voted for him that could vote. I want to say that he won 93 or 94% of the black vote in Georgia, and Joe Biden only won 88%. And that's how I proved to them, right? And he was a Democrat. On the opposite end of that, there's a Republican in Michigan. His name was John James. He ran for Senate, and he won 9% of the black vote compared to the guy that ran before him that was white that only won 6% of the black vote. And that number is really small, but a 3% difference for black people in the Republican Party is a lot, because black people don't vote Republican. You feel me? That's
Yeah.
not the thing. Like, if you're black and you vote Republican, that's a huge conflict of interest. And it's not to say that you can't. It's just saying that normally the extremely large majority, damn near 100% almost, of black
Democrat.
people vote
Yeah.
Democrat. That's just the way it is, right? And
Mhm.
so I was showing them that If basically what I was trying to prove to them through my hypothesis was that we need more politicians of color. We need more. We absolutely need more, because the way that the country is going right now, it becomes more diverse every day, right? You're seeing black people and white people, black people, Hispanic people and black people. They're all, you know, everyone's having kids, families, living happily ever after. And that's the way the world is going. Our politicians, they're still white. They're still white. They're still rich. You
Yeah.
feel me? They're still, a lot of them, they're still old, they still have no idea what the hell they're doing. So I was trying to show them that you put black people or Hispanic people on the ballot. I did the same thing with Hispanic people. If you put them on the ballot, they're going to get more love than the white candidate, off the fact that, America knows that the world is changing, right? Like, this is not the civil rights movement. This is not the segregation era. Like, minorities are up now, right? And we have all these great ideas. You look at the world we live in, we already have such a big impact on the culture, such a huge impact on the culture, right? Like, you got white people listening to drill music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that just shows you, whether it's music, whether it's art, right? The way people dress. People are wearing Jordans, they're wearing Nikes, they're wearing stuff like that, Supreme, you know. Whether it's, couldn't even tell you, like, sports, that's a huge one, right?
Yep.
Everybody and their mother want to be like Steph Curry nowadays. That's just the way things are. And so what I was trying to show them was like, like, if we're represented in all these areas, why aren't we represented in the areas that matter the most, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what good is it if you can't watch Steph Curry on TV because you don't have cable? I don't think that a politician that is 75 years old and has been rich their whole life is going to understand that issue. And so yeah, I thought that was probably the last time I used I would say information, how I got my point across to a group of people, and they appreciated the presentation. It was pretty eye-opening. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was a great answer. I love that. All right. I'm gonna get two more questions and then we'll start wrapping this up.
Yeah.
So are you doing just politics or are you political science?
It's political science. The program in my school is called politics, but it's, so far I've taken domestic, international, I'm taking a couple classes on law, so it's all over the place. It's not just strictly politics.
Okay, perfect. So you obviously want to do different things, want to get your feet wet in between different departments and shit like that. Um, so what are you looking to do like after you graduate? That's your major, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what are you looking to do after you get that degree?
Um, First thing would probably be get another degree, because nowadays you can't do anything with just one degree, which is the freaking sad reality of the world we live in. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking right now I'm taking a constitutional law class, took a law and policy class last semester. So I'm thinking law school right now. Um, Not extremely enthusiastic about it, but it helps, and anything um that can keep my family members, my people, from going to jail too, keep them out of there. So being a lawyer, I guess I would say, after I graduate from law school, that's one option. I also think sometimes about just saying, like, like, fuck it and just running for office.
Hey,
Um,
hey,
there's
dream
a
big, my boy.
there's a lot of bro, honestly, I'm not gonna say that it's not hard, because people have to, you have to gain the support of people, and you gotta have a platform. But, like, I would like to think that, my platform, my network is large enough for me to have some type of success. Whether that be at the local level, national, wherever, I'm not sure, but you know, the opportunity is being presented to me. I've already met so many great people that I feel like if I wanted to run, I could. And, you know, I'm confident in that. So that's another thing. And ultimately, man, my goal, I want to be the governor or the president. And I've been saying that. And people think, oh, it's crazy. But like, I'm like, how is it crazy? Like, and you know, and what I tell them is that, you know, growing up, right, I played basketball, as you know, right? And I have friends that play basketball. And growing up, the thing was, oh yeah, like you should stop trying to go to the NBA, right? It's not realistic. I'm looking at him like, motherfucker, maybe for you, because you lazy. You know, you you don't want to wake up. You don't want to wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. and go bust your ass. You feel me? Go work out in between classes. Go work out after school. But I'm gonna tell you this: whether the goal for me was the NBA or not, I use basketball to pay for my education, right? And on the way to doing that, I met people that are in the NBA now, that I worked out with, that I trained with, that I went to school with, right? That are in the league, about to make millions of dollars to feed their family. You know, so that's one thing I've learned is, you know, people, I'm never going to listen or take advice from somebody whose life I would not want to live. Like if I don't want to be like you, why the hell am I going to listen to you? You know, and that's on the sense of, for me personally, that has nothing to do with, you know, if I was a politician, like, oh, I don't want to be like you, so I'm not going to listen. Like, absolutely not. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, so that I can listen to you and help you out. You understand? There's a difference. But for me, getting to where I want to be, right? If the highest level of basketball you ever played was high school JV basketball, why would I listen to you tell me what my ceiling is, right? Or if you have a degree in social services from a community college, that's great for you, right? But what you're going to tell me is not going to benefit me in my political career, especially if you're not paying for me to go to school, if you're not going to put me on to somebody that can help me, if you have not ever done what I'm doing, you're not going to help me. And so I'm not going to listen. And I tell my friends that all the time. Like I said earlier, they need people like us. The world needs people like us, like me and you right now. Like this conversation that we're having, the world needs to have these conversations. And I just think it's so important. Like we get so caught up in what we can and can't do that we just stop. Like all you're doing when you say you can or can't do something, you're just wasting time putting it off or trying to just chase that dream, you know? And so I've learned that a while ago. I listen to the opinions of people because, you know, where I'm at, you know, I never had anything handed to me. You know, I go to school in California at a beautiful school, and, you know, I do miss my family, but the opportunities I have, I'm so blessed and fortunate, and I earned them because I kept my head down. And I have a bunch of little brothers, a bunch of boys, bunch of friends, little sisters that I always tell them, like, yo, like y'all just gotta, God will handle the rest, you know? He really will. If he sees you working, if he sees that you're a good person, you're gonna get what you want. So you know what? Maybe I don't become the president or the governor, but you best believe that I'm gonna enjoy some luxuries along the way that are gonna make it feel like I live the life of the president or the governor. So that's what my goal is. And if it ever changes, then it is what it is. But for now, I'm gonna keep my sights set on that because that's truly something I believe that I can achieve one day.
Yeah, 100%, my boy, 100%. Last question, and this one I am very interested in only because when I think of political science, I think of writing enormous amounts of pages, arguing with other people about certain ideas.
Yeah.
Fucking, yo, the whole 9 yards, my guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm gonna ask you this: is your specific major? Is it a lot of writing, or is it a lot of arguing, or is it in between?
A lot of all of it.
I figured. Yeah.
It's a lot of all of it. I always say that. I'll be walking in a class and I just look at the person next to me like, yo, this is a lot. And they'd be like, yeah. But a lot of it is really just, if I'm being real with you, it's a lot of theories put forward by people. I haven't had too many like discussions or arguments with people in class. My school is very liberal. So I feel like socially we're on the same page here. Um, Economically, I believe, I still consider myself economically liberal. However, I don't believe that you should just wake up and get a check handed to you. You feel me? If you decide not to work, right? You know,
100%.
I've seen, I've seen single mothers, single fathers, grandparents, aunts, uncles, like, really, really put their families on their back by going to work every day, And so if you telling me that you don't want to work if you're telling me that you can't work, that's one thing, right? Maybe you have a disability, maybe something prohibits you, right? Maybe you're the only caretaker, right? Then, that's one thing. But if you're telling me that you don't want to work, right? And you'd rather scam, you'd rather sell drugs, you'd rather do this, you'd rather do that, I ain't going to judge you. That's one thing about me. I'm not going to judge you because you got to do what you got to do. But I am going to tell you that, if you could make it the honest way, I believe that you should, right? So and me saying that, a lot of the kids at my school, they're white, pretty privileged, right? They come from really nice backgrounds, so they don't understand that, right? They think that, you see a group of black people walking around, and it's like, oh man, I feel bad for you. Life must suck for them because they're black. And it's like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. You feel me? Like, you don't gotta feel bad for me.
Mm-hmm.
I put my shoes on the same way as you. So, that's probably the only place that I've had debates with people is they feel like um that we should just be handed like stuff to us, like almost like reparations, right? Reparations for things that have happened in the past. But it's like, whether you hand that to me or not, that's not going to change the way I look, the way I experience life. And so that's where, I kind of draw the line with them. But other than that, a lot of our debates they're really good. um they have different perspectives than me, I have different perspectives than them. And then for the material that we read, sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't, right? So like right now I'm studying like how race and class intertwine. I like that. But like last semester I took a class on law. It was on law and policy and like law and society. And literally like all we talked about 85-90% of the time was how the law disproportionately impacts people of color. And I'm like, yo, bro, like I see what you're saying, but like I didn't take this class for this. You feel me? I took this class to learn about how the law works. I took this class to learn about, like judicial review and things like due process, burden of proof, right? Learn about constitutional amendments, things like that. And he really only told me, like, throughout the last semester, the only thing we really learned about was like how the law impacts people that look like me. And I'm like, yo, my dude, like, not for nothing, I could have taught this shit myself if all you wanted me to tell you was that, my chance of going to jail is higher than, like the dude sitting next to me. I could have told you that,
But bro.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where it's tough. Politics, politics is tricky. Politics was not as tricky 10 years ago. I'll tell you that. It was not. Parties were more, I feel like in politics, a lot of what you believe in is social now, right? So like, you see a lot of people that are like moderate, like because they support like BLM, they'll vote Democrat, right? Or because they don't, they'll vote Republican. And I think that shit is stupid. I think it's so dumb.
That's a waste of a vote, bro. That's what it is.
It is, bro. And you see like like look at a state like Alabama, for example, right? Or Mississippi. Those are like the two poorest states in the country, right? They're poor, right? They have a very, very large percentage of black people, probably two of the highest, right? Over 30-35% of their state is of black people. And rightfully so, that's where our ancestors came from. But they vote overwhelmingly red. And that's for reasons beyond our control, right? Like that's a lot of political stuff, right? Like gerrymandering and voter restriction, like voter access restriction. So like that's tough, but at the same time, the majority of the demographic there is either low or middle class, and those lines aren't defined by race. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
defined by how much money you make. So you would think it would be logical for someone because, oh yeah, the benefits that we receive, the amenities that we receive, in the long term, this is going to help us live better lives. But nah, bro, because that racism is so deeply embedded, they say, you know what, this shit ain't gonna help me, but you know, we don't look the same, so fuck you. And I think that that's corny. I think that's corny. I don't like that. I don't like that in politics. And honestly, bro, I don't like politics. I like people, and that's why I tell people that a lot of times. Like, I don't go into politics because I like to sit here and debate with you on what I think Second Amendment rights should be. You know, I'm not here for that, bro. I don't, like, quite honestly, like, my opinions on that and your opinions on that, them shits aren't gonna change after a debate. I care about being in politics because I know that it gives me a path to be able to articulate the thoughts of people that grew up and lived like me and give us a platform to actually create change. So at the point that I'm at in my life, I honestly feel like if I'm not in politics, it would really be a waste because I've already spent so much of my time trying to speak out for people and, you know, be a voice for people. And I don't really feel like anybody else that would do it to the level that I'm capable of, simply because in the past, you know, no matter what your party is, no matter how you look like, we still live in the same way we was living before. Mm-hmm. So if someone's gonna dictate the way I live, if someone's gonna dictate the way you live, how we live, you know, people like us, if they're gonna dictate that, shit, I'd rather it be me. Because at least if I fail, I failed trying.
That ass, yeah.
You feel me? Like, at least I tried. I be feel like, bro, there's no reason that people that we're voting for, right, that we're supporting, that we listen to speak every day, there's no reason that we should feel like they're not trying. Mm-hmm. No reason. I feel like everybody deserves somebody that's going to really speak out for them. And that's really politics in a nutshell for me. Do I like the field? Not really. I like people. You know, I value conversations like this. I value, you know, telling people about where I'm from, telling people why they should care about the things that they do, why school is important, right? I care about stuff like that, you know? And I think that stuff is more important to me than sitting at a table and debating, you know, like what abortion laws should be, debating what marijuana laws should be, right? Like, bro, like, who gives a fuck? Really? Who cares? I'm saying, like, who cares enough about that stuff? You feel me? That shit don't matter if you don't got food on the table, if you don't got a roof over your head, if we don't like each other, if I can't look at somebody and expect them to treat me with respect the same way that I'll treat them with respect, you know? And that's just simple stuff. But we don't have it because we're focused on all this other stuff that's not as important. It's not. It's really not. And that's not to say, you know, obviously, abortion access, yes, that stuff is important. But if you ask somebody what's more important, putting food on the table or sitting here and debating Roe v. Wade in the same time that we could be debating a plan to combat poverty, which one is more important? Really, though. And that's what I care about. At the end of the day, I truly believe, you know, people, this is America, bro. People should do what they want to be able to do. Who am I to tell you no? That's not my position to tell you how you should live. My position is to try to put myself in a spot where I can make you feel more comfortable about your decisions. Make you feel like the life you're living is, you know, like, you should be enthusiastic about waking up in the morning. And that's how I feel about politics.
Damn. Well said, my brother.
Appreciate you.
Yo, I appreciate you, my guy. Yo, one last question though. Rams or Bengals?
I got the Bengals, man.
Oh God, Joe Burr.
Joe
Shiesty,
he's so tough. But I'm in LA right now, so I hear all these people that are Rams fans. They're not really Rams fans. You feel me? They just happy that Odell is here. Oh God, everybody want the Rams to win out here. I don't really care. I think Joe Burrow is cold. I like, what's his name? Jamar Chase. I like Jamar. Yo, they got dogs. I'm telling you, they got dogs. They got dogs. They have dogs. That's why, bro, and they're young.
Yo, underrated ass team, my guy. You know what I'm saying?
They're young. Yes, bro. The Rams got some young guys that are good, but compared to the Bengals, bro, Joe Shiesty and Jamar Chase, bro, I got them, bro. I like them.
100%.
I like them.
100%. All right, my brother. Well, I appreciate you for accepting my invite to be on the first episode on this goddamn podcast. You know
Yeah,
what
bro.
I'm saying?
Congratulations, bro. This is great stuff.
Hey,
Great stuff.
thank you. So from now on, for people watching this that are gonna be watching this, will be up on my YouTube channel. Uh, Probably gonna be a day of production, so it's gonna be. I will try to upload every Monday, um, just so you guys can get a fresh start of the week while listening to this podcast as well. Um, Thanks again to my boy Deandre Super Ortiz, the absolute dog, the best person I could talk to in terms of learning what's right and what's wrong in politics. I could be so honest with you and tell you that I really don't follow it, but I get the news on my phone every goddamn second of the day. So I'm just like, why not talk to one of the people who are, are the future of our generation? You know what I'm saying? So thanks again, my boy Deandre. Shout your socials for my peoples to follow you on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever the case may be.
My Instagram it's that boy super underscore, so THATBOYSUPA_. My Twitter is that boy super, same thing, but without the underscore. And yeah, I don't really be on much else but those two. So y'all can follow me on those.
Perfect. And then on those two, you do upload political things, right? Like things that you like to that you see in the world and shit. Like you upload that.
Yeah. I try to share not so much opinions, but news that I think is important. I'm really big on local stuff. So like I reshare a lot of, people from Central Mass when they do good things. I share a lot of their stuff so I can keep up with them. And yeah, and if anyone wants to have a conversation, it ain't nothing but just, DM me, message me, we can talk for sure.
All right, perfect. All right, well, this has been the first episode, first official with our first guest. I appreciate you for coming on. Obviously, this was very short notice. I didn't kind of plan this the way I wanted to plan it, but I got some great questions out of you, so perfectly fine with that. So the next episode will upload every Monday. I am looking for a co-host, somebody that can at least come on every Saturday. So if you're interested, message me. I'll put my socials in the description. And I'll also put Deandre's socials in the description as well. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching this podcast. Huge shout out to my boy Deandre again. And we'll see you all in the next podcast. Peace out, my boy.